want to watch this, and then we play with Lugia. Lugia, is that okay with you? I forget. I'm supposed to play my game today, aren't I? Let me see if I can get it now. We can watch this, and then we'll play with Lugia.
Guys, I'm gonna be honest.
Let me go get some coffee. I haven't had coffee. I need coffee. Coffee. You like coffee? I like coffee. Coffee. I like coffee. Can't get enough coffee. Coffee. Did I say coffee? I don't know what you're talking about. I heard coffee. Coffee! Also, by the way, I got cinnamon bun goldfish. I do not have a problem with sugar. Oh my gosh, that's good. Yeah, that's pretty good. Okay. Legendary drops! We all love legendary drops! Let's go.
With you, I don't think that I've seen people more divided over a game before. You got people that love it, people that hate it, people that are screaming it from the top of the hills. You got people that are calling it a $40 mod, and some people that are saying it's a blatant cash grab. But whatever it is, there is a wide spectrum of emotions and opinions around Elden Ring Night Rain. Some of it based off of things that a lot of you guys don't even know about. But it makes a lot of sense, because if you look at Night Rain and you look at Dust Bloods, well, these two games, I mean, they look like a pivot from any FromSoft fan's perspective. And that's going to worry some people, especially with how successful they have been, incredibly successful that they have been over the last few years. These games have a lot of mechanics and a lot of themes that are completely foreign to the FromSoft formula. And we're talking about games that have massive audiences. Elden Ring has a massive audience. Dark Souls has a massive audience. And a game like this is going to divide that audience. I've played it. I've had a lot of fun with it. But I have my fair share.
He's right about that. There's a lot of different things that it, like, invariably is very different from normal Elden Ring games. I think they saw how popular the seamless co-op was. And maybe the director himself, like, he always wanted to try making, like, a better Fortnite. Or, like, something in that genre. Like, he wanted to try his hand. Because, like, I know a lot of people want to say, oh, extractions are, like... That's what every freaking company's trying to do right now. But this is, like... Devs are creators. And creators will always want to try to put their hand at something. So I think this is just... me as... like, all those developers wanting to try their hand at that. In their vein. They got the idea from the seamless co-op. Like, there's no doubt about that in my mind. Because it's basically that with some crazy edits. They plan on changing up the map. I know that. Like, they want the map to be constantly shifting and stuff. I see in the next few years, maybe, if they keep up with this, we may be getting something like a Hunger Games Elden Ring kind of game. And that's just crazy to think about. Because, like, that's what I've always wanted to play, is like an actual, like, real to life in the books, like, Hunger Games, where, like, maps constantly changing, the weather, like, patterns are, like, going around the circle and stuff, and they try to push you towards the middle. Because that's how it started. That's how all these little Bed Wars, Fortnite, all of these games got the idea from Hunger Games. Try to correct me. Look at all the similarities, and then look at the earlier, like, renditions of those games, and you'll be like, oh my god, it's Hunger Games. But they all did it wrong. Whereas this game feels like it's very close to being, like, right. But right now it's got, like, it's more focused on the Elden Ring side of things, where it's, like, fighting the bosses and stuff. Which I really love. I love that aspect, too. And I love how they gave each of the characters their own, like, little aspectal story and stuff. But also... give me my Dragon Knight! God damn it! Also Black Knight. Also Drake Knight. Also Blood Sorcerer. Anyways.
Share criticisms and a lot of my concerns as well, but from an industry perspective, there's some things that are just so fascinating about this.
Like, I know it's very fascinating. Sorry,
game.
I'm getting off on
this
tangent.
is a non-live service multiplayer game coming from a triple.
That's the other thing that's so crazy. It's not live service. Like, they could totally have pushed it in that vein. Like, so easily. Like, it's like all the aspects are there that they could have forced it to be live service, but they didn't. They're like, well, we're gonna add a few characters, but as DLC and stuff. But we're just gonna kind of let you guys have everything. We're gonna let you unlock a lot of these characters. We're gonna let you like get the different outfits and stuff yourself. Like you can unlock them like in the old games. You know, you like those, right?
Play studio, and we just don't see that ever. So today what I want to do is I want to talk about some things that very few people know about with this game. I want to talk about what it is.
Well, yeah, there's unlockable skins from what I understand, but there's also going to be releasing characters too. Like characters they didn't, like, there's no day one DLC. They haven't even made these characters yet. They focused on the game first. But they're going to make more characters they wanted to add. I'm hoping to gosh there's a Dragon Knight. Come on, man. You have the model from Dark Souls 2. Give it to me. Let me roar.
And isn't. I want to talk about...
Like, let him start with, like, Grayscale's War or something like that. Like, you got the whirlwind from the eagle. Come on.
Player reception around the game and what this game means for FromSoft's future. But before that, today's sponsor. Today's video is sponsored by Rocket Money, the app that I use to pretend like I actually can keep my finances under control. Am I the only one that just waits for their card to expire to see all...
Happy birthday, Boka's neighbor's dog. Are you talking about my mom's dog? She's right here. She's asleep. Leave her alone. I gave her pets for you.
Their subscriptions get canceled because I can't keep track of them?
Oh, yes, please, Millennia. Like a Millennia. No, let us play Millicent. My waifu. Ah! Let me play her.
You know, in college, I defaulted on multiple credit cards. It took me years to get out of that hole, just because I am really bad with paying attention to what's coming in and coming out of my...
I am too. I try to pay very close attention because I have to pay some of you guys.
My account. I could have used an app like this sooner. And that's where Rocket Money comes in. It pulls together all of your subscriptions into one place and lets you cancel them with just a few taps. It also tracks your spending, sets budgets, and can even negotiate your bills. Basically, it does all of the financial adulting that I don't want to do. You can also set alerts for when your bills increase or when your account balance dips too low, so nothing catches you off guard. Over 5 million people have used Rocket Money, and they have saved their users over $500 million. So if you're tired of being surprised by charges that you forgot about, go to rocketmoney.com/legendary and try it out. It's free to start, and it can save you a lot. Thank you to Rocket Money for sponsoring today's video. I expected Elden Ring Night Rain to do well, but what I didn't expect is it hitting over 300,000 concurrent players on day one, holding steady throughout the weekend, selling over 2 million copies in just under 24 hours. That is a rare kind of launch, especially for a spin-off that is as weird as Elden Ring Night Rain, and especially given how mixed the feedback has been online. Critically, it's doing fine. It says 77 on Metacritic and 80 on OpenCritic. Steam reviews started out mixed, but then climbed up to mostly positive after a patch had fixed a couple of things, and the game had a little bit of extra time.
They just need like 1 or 2 more patches, and I think most of the bugs I know of, at least, will be gone. Because it's not like a crazy amount of bugs. Like, the only real issue I noticed early was timing was a little janky. They fixed that in the first update, which was great. I think the only real issues I've noticed are make it clear you're in a bad area. Because I hate walking in on the one-shot secret boss guy. I've only done it once, to be fair, but god damn was that guy scary.
Trying to settle. Not exactly a triumph in comparison to some of their other games, but it's nowhere near the disaster that some other people are trying to make it out to be.
It's not a disaster. It's an interesting, like, vein that they touched. Like, it was clear that the devs wanted to work with something new. Like, try their hand at something new. And they did pretty solid work.
Actually, thinking about it now, I think the only reason why this game stands in such high contrast is specifically because of how successful FromSoft has been and how massive Elden Ring was. It's one of the most celebrated games in the past decade, reaching almost 30 million copies sold. Anything mixed or just all right is just going to look bad by comparison.
Which is fair, which is very fair.
At its core, Night Rain is still unmistakably FromSoft. The combat, the music, the boss design, the gear, the atmosphere, it all feels familiar, but layered on top of that are systems and ideas that for a lot of people feel like a betrayal. You have shrinking zone mechanics like Fortnite or Warzone. The pacing is faster.
Someone has the skin. You see it? She's in a black robe with like a veil.
There's no fall damage. You can use spirit stream jumps to launch yourself across the map or ride on
I want that skin.
spectral hawks. Structurally, it's a roguelike boss rush with limited persistence, and that's a hell of a thing to attach to Elden Ring's name.
That's a player right there. They've played a long time already, it seems.
So I get it, I really do. If you're someone who loves Souls games, if you associate FromSoft with tightly authored RPGs that reward slow, deliberate play, this game probably feels like it wasn't made for you. And the fact that it leans into these modern trends that have become synonymous with monetization, with live service burnout, with games that are chasing the market.
The thing I love about how it's not like service is there is no like expectation. Like, they're not making you log in every day. Yeah! Grimmy, I want to play it so bad.
Rather than leading it, well, that's going to set off some alarms. For a lot of players, Night Rain doesn't just feel unfamiliar, it feels like a warning. People see games like...
Nah, I think this is just some of the Elden Ring's developers wanted to work on something like this to try their hand at it. I don't think... Like, it should be clear when there is no live service in this that this isn't like portentous of the future. At least I don't think it is. I could be wrong. But it feels like you guys forget Elden Ring is a combination of all their games. It's got like the jumping mechanics and stuff from Sekiro. It's got like a lot of the like ideas from Dark Souls 2. Dark Souls 2 was the one that started messing with the hitboxes being like literally mapped to your character fully. Like the attacks being literally mapped to their weapons fully. Like that's why some of the hitboxes were janky, is they did some of the models wrong at first. But then we got better in Dark Souls 3, and now we have Elden Ring where you can jump. You can literally jump over the attack or lay down in an emote and the attack will go over you and not hit you. It's like silly stuff like that. You don't realize where a lot of that stuff comes from. This game has a lot of like Bloodborne stuff in it. And like, because there's literally a character that has the dodge mechanic of Bloodborne. And then there's a Sekiro parry mechanic. People forget that Sekiro is made by the same people. But like, the Executioner is literally Sekiro. Like, he has a mechanic where he pulls out his cursed blade and he can deflect just like in Sekiro. Like, he can either stagger them or power up his sword to like slash through them. It does both.
Night Rain or their...
So they improved upon the stagger mechanic and made it even better. Now you're not just all defending. You can attack in your defending.
Upcoming game Dustbloods, and they start getting BioWare flashbacks, a studio that was known for deep character-driven RPGs, pivoting to shared world shooters, multiplayer experiments, or live service projects like Anthem that they have no business making. That pivot didn't just fail for those guys.
I don't think this is a pivot. I think this is a experiment. They're trying out stuff. I wouldn't be surprised if like the next Dark Souls game we get has like integrated PvP, like integrated like seamless co-op now. Instead of the summoning thing. They saw how much people loved the seamless co-op. They were like, well, let's try something in that vein with this. It's definitely also a prototype for Dustbloods. Yes. But I see this as them trying their hand out at other things.
well. It destroyed the studio and its reputation. So now anytime any beloved studio starts reaching outside of their lane, people are bracing for impact because, well, we've seen how this story ends. So believe me when I say I understand the skepticism. This industry has trained us to be wary, trained us to see every creative pivot as a potential grift. And when you've been burned enough times, pattern recognition becomes a survival instinct. But I think that Night Rain, at least from a business and design standpoint, is wildly misunderstood. What most people don't realize, and FromSoft should have made this blatantly obvious, is that Night Rain isn't the standard FromSoft game. And I think a lot of us can tell that, but this game was not directed by Miyazaki.
Yeah, Miyazaki had nothing to do with it.
This game isn't a part of some grander vision. Well, I guess it kind of is in some ways, but it was a test, a low-stakes experiment that was led by Junya Ishizaki, a first-time director who quietly has been shaping FromSoft's DNA.
I could see the Bloodborne and Dark Souls 2 stuff. Like, he took some stuff from Dark Souls 2. Like, he worked with pretty much all the games. And then George R.R. Martin didn't work with Night Rain, so don't even look at that. Like, I love the...
For over a decade now. He started as a level designer on the original Dark Souls back in 2011, then went on to be a level and battle designer in Bloodborne, and later the combat designer for Dark Souls 3 and Elden Ring. Some of the most iconic encounters and mechanical highlights in the studio's industry, and he had a hand in all of it. Night Rain is his shot, a small-scale, controlled opportunity to take the reins and try...
This is basically, Miyazaki probably was like, do this. Try this little experiment before we fully start doing Dusk Bloods. Let's see if you're ready for, like, something bigger. This is probably Miyazaki's little underling. Like, someone he's been training in the background. I say it's a message of good things to come.
Try something new. It reuses a ton of assets from the Soulsborne library, especially with Elden Ring. It was developed in under 3 years, and it was made on a shoestring budget compared to AAA standards, and it's...
Like, yeah, they only charged, what was it, $40? Or $30 or something? And, like... Holy crap.
$40 for a reason. If you guys take a step back for a second, everything about this project screams insulation, risk management more than anything else. A creative sandbox that was built with the quiet expectation that it might not do well. And the wild part is that Miyazaki more or less said this himself. In an interview with The Guardian last year, he openly admitted that they were preparing for failure and they were trying to build a culture that could survive it and learn from it.
That's what he's, like, teaching his team is, like, don't expect to knock out of the park every time. Manage your expectations. Like, work with what you have. That's probably the entire, like, synopsis of this entire game right here. Is, like, he wanted them to work with shoestring budget, not expecting lots of help. Like, started from the bottom, now we're here kind of thing.
In an article from The Guardian written by Keza McDonald titled The Game Design Secrets of Elden Ring's Hidetaka Miyazaki, Keza interviewed Miyazaki on his design philosophy and the future of From Software. She wrote, Miyazaki is an extremely hands-on director and all of his games bear the unmistakable imprint of his influence, but he has also been attempting to pass down his knowledge and artistic approach to others at From Software in the 10 years that he's been its president, ensuring that they too have room to fail.
Told you, he's like bringing all these developers up, giving them like way better skill sets and stuff.
Budget, scale, scope, everything has grown to the point where room for failure isn't tolerated as much as I think it was in the past, he told me. FromSoft has its own way of hedging risk, so to speak, and that most of our projects have a partner who's financing the project. From a business management perspective, we're not betting everything on one single project. At the same time, you have to find the right place to allow for failure. Whether it's smaller in scope or scale, or it's a smaller module of something bigger, there needs to be room for that. I think that's where a lot of young game directors will be challenged and be able to learn from it. Making sure you can understand and identify where those pockets of failure can be allowed is how you try to grow talent. Miyazaki views Elden Ring as a turning point for From Software. Before and after Elden Ring, there's going to be a clear difference. You could see that with Armored Core 6, I would say. He hopes that we will soon be seeing games from other directors at the company, not just himself. Where From Software is right now in terms of scale, I would say that Elden Ring is really the limit. We've tapped every resource and talent that we have to access it. Scaling it even bigger, I would have my concerns. Perhaps having multiple projects is the next stage where some of the other younger talent can have the opportunity to manage and direct game design for a smaller project. I mean, you really can't get much more direct than that. When you line up Night Rain and Duskbloods right next to Miyazaki's own words, it all starts to click together, especially that one line. You have to find the right project to allow for failure, smaller in scope or scale, or a module of something bigger. I think that's where a lot of young game directors will be challenged and able to learn from it. That is not vague corporate speak. That is a roadmap, and FromSoft is following it to the letter. Junya Ishizaki is that young game director. Night Rain is that smaller, self-contained project, reusing assets from other games. Duskbloods, that upcoming PvEvP extraction game that FromSoft is exclusively making for Nintendo, likely funded by Nintendo, is likely the larger vision here. One that borrows from what Night Rain has already tested, the zone closures, the co-op scaling, the faster travel, random gear. These games aren't random departures, they are sequential steps.
And I have a feeling Night Rain's going to do better than Duskbloods. With all the like anti-stuff that Nintendo's done, I don't know if y'all heard, turns out you have to connect to the internet to use your Nintendo Switch too. Have to. It will not work. It's a brick. But they did that quietly as well.
The funny thing is, this isn't even the first time.
But I bet you this game ends up being way bigger than I thought it was.
I mean, these guys have done it. It's just another step in their strategy. I think a lot of people completely missed that Armored Core 6, that game was just as calculated. Mech games were and still are relatively niche, so that game was going to be a gamble regardless of what they were doing. It was made with less than half the budget of Elden Ring. It was the first project directed by Masaru Yamamura, another long-time FromSoft dev that was stepping up to the plate for the first time. And while most people now see AC6 as a clear win, part of why it feels that way is because expectations were in check. Nobody was expecting that game to be the next Elden Ring, and most of that audience didn't even show up for it. That game sold around 3 million copies, not 30, but internally, it was likely considered to be a success. The risk was measured, the new director got his shot, and the studio proved that they could branch out without overextending. Say what you will about the end product of the strategy, but from a business perspective, this is some of the smartest project management that I have seen from AAA studios in years. Most publishers do not do this. They do not hedge. They go all in, believing that the audience and the money is going to be there based on whatever their reputation is or whatever the industry trends are. These guys dive headfirst into brand new genres or live.
That's what I love about like this group in FromSoft is they don't shy away from like different things, and they try their hand. They manage their expectations. They don't go way and above and beyond what they're supposed to do and stuff. They're like, oh, hey, I think we can do this. Let's do this. Let's manage our expectations. Let's do this.
Service pivots without any safety net. BioWare with Anthem, Rocksteady with Suicide Squad, Arcane with Redfall, Crystal Dynamics with Marvel Avengers, and it's not always live service games that are killing some of these studios. Sometimes it's just the scale, the pressure, or the wrong project at the wrong time. The pattern is always the exact same, though. A big bet, a big miss, and the fallout lands on the devs. What FromSoft is doing here isn't just cautious, it's sustainable. They're building a pipeline. And the smartest part about all of this is that it's the quiet admission that Miyazaki...
I don't even think they're playing it safe. They trust Miyazaki. They don't push any kind of like restrictions on him. They don't say, oh, do live service. No, they're like, we trust you. Do your thing.
Can't and shouldn't be at the center of everything forever.
And they allow his developers, they let him get his developers to do like other projects, and they're okay with it not being crazy profitable.
If this studio wants to grow, if their games are going to evolve, then that knowledge needs to be passed down. That trust has to be built. And like Miyazaki said, you have to carve out space for people to fail. That's not a strategy, that's leadership. Hell, it's the exact same kind of bet that they took on him back when Sony funded Demon's Souls. He was the guy that was just working his way up through Armored Core until somebody finally gave him a shot. Now he's doing the same thing for the next generation. That is not a step back. That is the clearest sign of a studio that's thinking long term. If you guys have watched this channel for any length of time, then you guys would know that my biggest criticism of AAA is a lack of strong leadership. And what
Miyazaki's probably one of the best lead developers currently around. He's like up there with like Larian Studios and stuff in terms of like, I trust him with a team.
They're doing right now over at FromSoft is building up strong leadership. They realize that they have it with Miyazaki, and they're trying to pass down some of that institutional knowledge, some of that skill to some of these other developers and some of these other directors so they can continue to make great games in the future. This is something that you just have to do.
Notice that none of those other companies do this. It's really just Larian Studios and FromSoft, basically, in terms of, like, the still big studios still doing the right things and stuff.
I've also told you guys, make sure...
I did forget the timer. Well, it's reaction. She'll be fine.
You stop paying attention to the name of the game, stop paying attention to the name of the studio. Instead, start paying attention to the name of who is directing the games that you enjoy. Because more times than not, those are the guys that have most of the influence in the studio. I mean, they're the director, after all. They are directing all of these teams as one. And that doesn't mean that great directors can't fail. They definitely can. But these are the guys. Their leadership is what brings everything all together. Casey Hudson left BioWare after Mass Effect 3. Then we got Mass Effect Andromeda. Bruce Straley was a part of Last of Us Part 1. He was not there for Last of Us Part 2. That was all Neil Druckmann. World of Warcraft.
Yeah. You see why it failed? Neil had no one stopping him from putting his own agenda stuff in there. No one telling him, hey, we're here for the game, the players. We're not here for you to put your own little spin on a story.
Cataclysm, and then on. Completely different management structure, completely different leadership. That game changed forever. 9 times out of 10, when a game is failing to meet your expectations, or if it just feels different in general, the most jarring part is it's just the leadership that changed. Direction of the game changed. I highly recommend that people start looking into this because it's the best way to be a educated consumer.
Yeah, basically, when a new game's coming out in a franchise you like, first look at who's running the project.
Well, I think that
8 times out of 10, that'll tell you if you want to buy it or not.
Opinions are going to vary with Night Rain and also Duskbloods in the future. I have to respect the measured risk and
I think the reason Duskbloods isn't going to do good, which I'm like convinced that right now, is how anti-consumer, super predatory Nintendo's being with their console.
Growing talent from within. There's a quote that I grabbed from J.K. Rowling that says, "It's impossible to live life without failing at something, unless you live so cautiously that you might as well not have lived at all. And in that case, you fail by default." FromSoft recognizes that they could just go make another Dark Souls, which they likely will in the future, but they need to experiment, and they need to give their junior talent, their junior directors, a shot if they're ever going to have...
And them doing it in different veins of gaming helps them grow their ideas. If you want Dark Souls and Elden Rings and Bloodborns to be better, they need other ideas. How do you not get a better game by... You change it. You add to the formula. Reason why people hate recent Pokemons. It's slop.
Have any sort of a future as a studio. Because Miyazaki's not always going to be there. And he can't be a part of every single project. I think it's important to temper our expectations when it comes to some of these games. Things change, regardless, with any of these studios. Not every studio is going to nail it every single time. But I don't really think that Night Rain is necessarily a miss. I've played it. I've had a lot of fun with it. I definitely have some things that I have issues with, which we'll talk about. But I think that it represents something that I want to see more of in this industry, especially from AAA. And that's just multiplayer without live service. Because it just feels right. I put a good chunk of time into Night Rain, and I think that I have seen most of what players have been praising and most of what they've been frustrated by. But I want to start this out by saying, damn, does this game feel good to play? The movement is so fluid in a way that FromSoft rarely embraces outside of Sekiro or Armored Core. The traversal is so fast and reactive. It's almost arcade-like in a lot of ways. Vaulting over walls and climbing over things is so much smoother after their latest patch, and there's just something so exhilarating about being this quick in a Souls game. Night Rain just kind of lets you go. And despite all the things that this game changes, it's still unmistakably Elden Ring. The world design, the music, the tone, the enemy variety, the combat, it is all here. Structures and spatial layouts that scream from software. And because most of that foundation is familiar, there's basically no onboarding learning curve here. If you have played Elden Ring, you can pick this up instantly.
Pretty quickly. There's a little bit of learning to do with the extra abilities and stuff, but I would say for the most part, pretty like simple to catch on, and then like just reading the tooltips on the weapons. It's not even a lot of words. It's like, oh, this adds this. Oh, okay. Well, if I put it in my other hand, will that help this weapon? It does.
That instant familiarity is one of the game's biggest strengths. It lowers the barrier to entry without dumbing it down for anything. The core gameplay loop here is just fun, and in co-op, it really starts clicking together. Fully co-op boss fights with 2 other players, especially if you guys are actually in voice, especially if you have friends to begin with, shows that this kind of real-time coordination can actually work. One player can pull aggro, other players can hang back with range support, and roles will shift naturally throughout the fight. It's flexible, reactive, and it's way more satisfying than I expected. Honestly, it makes me believe that an Elden Ring style
You can get past level 13?
MMO might not actually be that crazy of an idea after all, because for the first time, it feels like an action
He's playing with pros.
combat system could actually support it. Now, I brought this up in my Lords of the Fallen video, and it's something I really liked about Code Vein 2, but I've always had a soft spot for these games that loosen up a little bit on the soul.
Once I fully get acclimated to it, I've got pretty most of my muscle memory back. Like, you've seen me doing some crazy dodges and stuff. Once I fully get my muscle memory back, I think we'll start hitting those little 13, 14
formula, ones
fights.
that let you breathe a little, games that don't demand your full concentration every single second that you're playing. Night Rain fits that mold. Faster pace, session-based, fully co-op, and it's built to respect your time without watering down the entire experience. I will also say that the progression system caught me off guard in a good way. I didn't expect much, but the way that the world evolves between runs adds genuine replay value here. Take down the first major boss, and suddenly there's a massive crater that splits the map in half. Harder bosses spawn inside of it. There's a secret upgrade that's waiting at the bottom. Other times, there's an entire scarlet forest that engulfs half of the zone, reshaping the landscape and throwing your entire route into chaos. What's nice is these shifts aren't just visual. They force you to reevaluate your pathing, rethink your objectives, and adapt your whole strategy. It's got that roguelike unpredictability, but with the kind of world-building weight that FromSoft normally brings to their games. And the Remembrance quests are genuinely cool. Not only are you hunting down these Night Lord bosses, but you're also chasing these character-specific quest lines to recover their memories. These unlock some of the best rewards in the entire game, and more importantly, they are the roguelike mechanics in a lot of ways. Each completed remembrance will give you a chalice. That chalice will let you customize your relic loadout. It's one of the few systems in the game that gives you some real agency during your run, and honestly, I think it's brilliant. Now, of course, I do have my complaints when it comes to this game, and the most baffling one of them all is how do you launch a co-op first game in 2025 without crossplay or even basic multiplayer features? What the fuck, From Software? No in-game voice chat, no text chat. You can play solos or trios, but you can't play duos for whatever reason. That is a real problem, because Night Rain demands coordination. Roles matter. Bosses hit harder. You need to know where you're going, what you're doing, and what you need to get before your run ends. And without any real way to communicate, every single match with strangers is going to feel like a gamble. One game, everything's going to click. Somebody's marking the maps, calling the shots. You guys are having no problem clearing through the game. It's going to feel like a real co-op experience. But the next, all of a sudden, you're stuck with a team who's dying to low-tier mobs. And since players can respawn as much as they want until they die to the main boss, there's no fail state. There's no reset. You just waste your time. A simple voice or text chat feature would fix this. But without it, you're stuck. Now, speaking of knowing where to go and what to get while you're actually in a run, while some of Night Rain's more core features and systems are great, the actual roguelike systems on the map are incredibly weak. And look, roguelikes are probably my most played genre. I have sunk countless hours into Risk of Rain 2, Hades, Balatro, Slay the Spire, and a long list of other games. And what makes those games click is how deliberate progression ends up feeling. Each run is a fresh start, and each choice that you make layers on top of a build. It's strategic, not just reactive. Take Hades as an example. You pick a weapon. After that, every single room is either going to offer you a god power, a passive bonus, or a currency. You make choices, re-roll, stack synergies, shape the run. The longer you go, the more tailored your build ends up becoming. It's not just about power, it's about expression. Night Rain doesn't give you that. It throws powers at you with no synergy, no pathing, and barely any control. It's random in the worst way, scattered, incoherent, disconnected from how you're actually...
I do kind of despise some of the relics being like, oh, this is for Wilder, but, here's magic. Like, here's just intelligence. Like, yes, he could use it, but there's no real incentive there. So why are you giving it to me?
Playing
Like, there's the magic greatsword, but like that's like one greatsword. There's like 2 other magic swords, neither of which are greatswords. There's just the magic greatsword, and like you can't plan your whole run about finding just that weapon.
the game. Yes, there's a map filter where you can go and hunt for specific weapons, status effects, flasks, and consumables, but that rarely clicks together. Most of what you're finding is just weapons. Carrying a few of them of the same type of passives will give you a slight boost to damage or status chance, but that's pretty much as far as that system goes. You might get an...
I think they're gonna... Knowing what kind of team Elden Ring is, maybe there's hope there that they'll like fix some of that stuff.
An HP or FP boost or a stamina buff or one of those slow walking.
Because you guys saw my Guardian run, there was good synergy there. Like I got really lucky with a lot of the synergy pop-ups and stuff.
Or a farming passives.
To the point where I was healing an okay amount even when magic attacks hit me.
None of it actually ties back to a build.
But I think the heals need to be a bit higher because I'm not, like, late game, I had so much HP that I was healing nothing. Because 14 HP out of, like, 2,000? You're not going to see that tick up.
In a meaningful way. Most of the build crafting in this game happens outside of the run rather than inside of the run, through relics and remembrances, both permanent unlocks. But that system is hidden behind FromSoft's esoteric world building and quest design.
But, like,
most players are probably not even going to realize that there's a quest
clear,
log
like,
in the Keep's journal. Most will
skill
assume
and development
that it's just
and,
lore,
like,
and they're
thought
not really interested in lore, so they're not even going to take a look at it, and they're going to find out either through a YouTube video like
without
this.
knowing it's from a team like an Elden Ring team, like a lot of people that worked on Elden Ring, you think it's a crap shovelware, but it's not. Like, I think they'll fix some things.
Or they're going to search for it online, and that's the way that they're going to figure it out. If you never open that menu, you're going to have no idea that there's a whole layer of progression that's been tucked away. Now, once you're inside of a run, you're most likely just scavenging. Maybe you're going to find a weapon with the right element that you're looking for if it's on the map at the time, or if it's on the right path that you need for the rest of your team. You'll hit a few Shrines of Baraka on the way, upgrade your flask, grab a couple of smithing stones or minor buffs if you can. None of it actually feels like you're building on your class or your weapon in a meaningful way. It's just a bunch of disconnected systems with no core loop that's holding it all together. And yet, despite all of that, I still enjoy playing.
Yeah, see, it's defeatable. Like, they had... Morning Time's probably just a developer or something. I'm gonna be honest. Already has a skin this early. And, like, they're clearly really good with the character.
In the game, I really enjoy playing this game. The movement, the combat, the boss fights, the sheer speed of the game. There is real energy here. But what I
don't
really
think it's shovelware. I think it feels kind of like shovelware because of, like, some of the mechanics don't seem to be fully there. But I'm thinking that was because maybe some of it was, like, an afterthought. But now, like, that it's in the game, they're gonna actually, like... Because they already patched and fixed, like, a lot of the issues. Like, yeah, there are still issues, but, like, can't fix all the issues in one go.
Holds this entire experience together. What makes Night Rain a good game to play is the fact that it has Elden Ring in the title, because it's built reusing its assets and its world. The controls are sharp, the world is familiar, the core systems are still here, but that foundation is doing a lot of heavy lifting here.
It is doing a lot of heavy lifting. The Executioner, though, being a monster form and having Sekiro flash mechanics and stuff, good gosh.
But Night Rain is exactly what it's supposed to be, an experimental title. FromSoft is trying something new.
It's an experiment. They're trying something new. I think they'll fix some of the issues.
On a smaller budget with a new director at the helm.
Like, remember, they didn't have AAA budget. This was like shoestring budget, like they said. They had very little money to work with, but they still put together a playable game.
Yeah, some of these parts are rough. Extremely rough in some cases.
Yeah.
But some parts genuinely shine, and for $40, fully co-op.
And they didn't even charge you full price. I hate to say that word, full price. They didn't charge you AAA prices. They're like, okay, we know this is kind of like crap compared to our bigger stuff. We're going to charge you cheaper stuff, and we're going to, like, here's this DLC that says, hey, this... I think the only reason they had that deluxe DLC as a separate thing is to be like, hey, We're continuing to work on this. Because remember, Steam's already got a rule now where you have to let people know. Or they get refunds.
No live service, no microtransactions. That kind of offering, especially...
And like no micros. So again, Elden Ring Premium there. You're not being charged nickel and dime everywhere.
From a studio of this size is almost unheard of. Actually, I think it is unheard of. We have been trained to expect subscriptions, microtransaction loops, seasonal grinds. This is just a game. Self-contained, earned, not bought. And it feels like something that we haven't seen in a long time. I mean, everything that you earn in Night Rain comes from actually playing the game. Imagine that. What a foreign concept that is.
You don't gotta buy your skins. Skins are unlockable. And stuff like that.
Skins, emotes, relics, chalices, they're all bought using Merc, the currency that you get by completing every single run. There's no cash shop, no option to buy your way through progression, no splash screens with limited time offers, no battle pass sitting in the corner like a ticking clock counting down your time and enjoyment. You just play the game and you get rewarded for doing so. And honestly, that alone feels great. I don't think a lot of these companies realize how much damage they have done to gaming culture, or maybe they don't even really care. The industry has profited immensely, sure, but I think that they've created a more cynical, price-sensitive, and hostile audience because of how they've monetized these games, and that's going to burn out. Nobody trusts these studios anymore, and I don't think that it's sustainable without balance and fair offerings. Night Rain is that fair offering, at least from my perspective. And that's how I hope people start to view it. While I understand people's concerns, whether it's about the direction, tone, or the shadow of Duskbloods looming in the future, Night Rain is exactly...
And I think Duskblood is going to be another one of those risk management situations. They're going to do their best, but they've probably already... It's probably already a stipulation, or they've probably already told Nintendo, hey, the console's on you, buddy. We're going to do our best for you. You paid for this. We're going to do this. But at the end of the day, if we don't see like it doing well, we're just... You can only blame yourself if it does bad.
The kind of project that I want to see more of. A fully co-op experience, no live service, priced fairly, and built from the ground up as a complete experience. A decade ago, guys, this was the norm. We used to just buy expansions for $20. Multiplayer wasn't a feature to be stripped down and rebuilt as a monetization funnel. You played it because it was fun, not because you felt obligated, not because your season progress was about to expire. I want games to get back to that. I want studios to start treating their players like people again, and Night Rain, for all of its faults, gets that part right.
He fell for the grab again.
Took an immensely popular IP, repurposed its assets, built something entirely new and distinct, and did it quickly, cheaply, and respectfully. It probably didn't cost these guys more than $50 million to make. I'd be shocked if it hasn't already paid for itself, and in doing that,
I bet you anything they already paid for it, and they're making money on it, and they're probably gonna be like, ooh, what can we add? And that's why I'm screaming, Dragon Knight, please!
New talent, leadership experience, tested future mechanics, and
if you want ideas, I have a playthrough.
Gave their fan base something that they could just enjoy without a catch. I think this is a really tough one from both the player and...
You can't complain that you're being, like, misled or that it's, like, fully shovelware because, like, it's all there. Like, there's no extra charges, no like, there's one DLC, and it's all it is it's there as a promise. That if you get it now, you get the future DLC for free. That's all it is. And since the way Steam works now, that's true too, Oak. It's kind of like a DLC for Elden Ring that doesn't require you to own Elden Ring.
A developer perspective, because these guys have enjoyed...
They heard, like, the other reason they probably made this is so many people were like, where's DLC? They're like, fine, we're working on this right now. We'll make this on the side for you.
Also got to experience, because we got some great games that we got to play as a result of it, but these games are very different. This is foreign territory. And
like, it's completely foreign territory. This is new to them. So I'm expecting there to be hurdles. I'm expecting there to be, like, issues with the game from the onset. It's not a surprise for me. At all.
top of that, this is more of like a AA offering from my perspective, not necessarily a AAA offering, and that's going to kind of shift perspectives a little bit on that. And there's going to be some players that are out there that genuinely do not want to see this game do well, or Dusk Bloods when that one releases, because
Dusk Bloods isn't going to do well.
They make money and they do well for multiplayer games. Well, then maybe they're not going to want to make their single player games, and well, we don't want that. And that's something that we have seen 100 times.
I don't think that's going to happen because of the people like Miyazaki that are at the head. Miyazaki has, like, he's basically runs that ship, and they don't require him to put anything into his games. Please notice that. That's how much influence he has. And, like, he's gone on interviews before and said he doesn't care for that stuff. Like, he likes some of those games, but he has his own viewpoint, and he likes these things.
Times in the past, which
he's
is
his
a
own
completely
person.
valid concern for people to have. But also, on the developer side, it must suck to build up this reputation, to put yourself in a place the minute that you want to try something new, your audience wants to check you back.
That's what I'm saying. Allow them to try new things. This is the whole thing we've wanted as gamers. We want them to try new things, and then we're attacking them the first time they step out of the zone? Let them try this. Let's see where it goes, okay? They've done a lot of good. Let them try new stuff to get new ideas. So when we get Elden Ring 2 or whatever it ends up being called, we get an even better experience. You forget that the other ideas for the game have to come from somewhere.
Good place. You know, from a business perspective, I am in awe at how controlled these guys are. Miyazaki laid the foundation for the concept phases of Armored Core 6. Hands it off to a new director. Lets that guy take control of it.
It's got incredibly good concepts. Incredibly unique concepts. Like, a lot of the, like, anger and disappointment you're feeling is it's not new Elden Ring. And it's not actual Elden Ring DLC. They said they're gonna do one, I think. I think they had a plan to do one eventually for it, but that's it. But until then, you got a big do. And then here's the thing. Without this, we'd be waiting for something no one wants to buy, which is the Switch 2 brick of a console, just to play another one. This is probably their way of giving us Nightbloods without taking it off the Switch. Nintendo probably paid a lot of money for it to just be on the Switch. But this was their way around it. They wanted to see how you guys would like it, how their main audience would like it, and I think we should give them the benefit of the doubt here. They're a crazy good company. They don't shove microtransactions down our throat 99% of the time. Like, even in the... You want to bring up Dragon's Dogma, they don't shove that one down our throats. There is a store, but it's not, like, super obvious to find it. You got to go to one specific place in the town. The main town. To even find it. Like... You don't have to like what Nintendo's doing. I'm saying don't. Like, let this thrive where Duskbloods is gonna fail. And it'll show them the clear message. It'll show the higher ups at FromSoft the clear message. You instantly shitting on this just because it's got some issues at the start, when they've never done this before, doesn't send a good message to them. It says, do the thing you always do. It says, I don't like new stuff. It says, I don't want you to have other ideas in the game. Just make same game always. That's what you're telling them. Give this a chance. I really love it. I see the golden... I see the Erd tree beneath all the soot. Guys, like, it's there. If they fix some of the things, bam. It gets a better and better game the more they fix an ad.
Turns out to be an absolutely fantastic game, makes their money back. bunch of praise from the audience as well as critics. Then he goes and he gives these assets off to this other developer, lets this guy make his little co-op game. Turns out pretty good. Players seem to enjoy it for the most part. They've already made their money back on it. They also now have a proof of concept for Duskbloods because a lot of these features are going to be in there. And that game is fully funded by Nintendo because it's exclusive.
Like, you guys also got to realize this is them learning.
For Nintendo, which means there's no risk involved at all. All the while, they're still working on whatever game they're working on in the background, which is like the next Dark Souls game or something like that.
I think their main team is probably tinkering with the DLC for Elden Ring, because I think I've heard, I'm not sure if it's 100% guaranteed, but I've heard that they're doing one DLC for it. Because, like, of how good it did.
These guys are sitting pretty. You got money in the bank. You got your junior leadership, a ton of experience over the past couple of years. You've released 3 games in succession. I mean, they've released a lot of games very, very quickly over the last couple of years. They've been fired them out. And most of them have been pretty high quality, which is definitely going to work to their...
Like, this isn't even slop level of content. Like, it's a fully fleshed game. It just has a few issues and a few glitches that, like, they can fix those.
Advantage. But, yeah. If anybody in this industry...
I bet you they made their money with Elden Ring. There was a ton of people playing.
Is worth any salt, I would be trying to emulate what this company is doing. Because even some of these games you're going to miss. It's just going to happen. It's
going to happen. You're going to have failures. You don't 100% knock it out of the park every time.
How it kind of goes more times than not. But either way, these guys are building themselves for the future, and I think it's going to work out for them.
I think this is a good thing that they're doing.
Historically speaking, looking at the way they've gone over the past few years, they've done pretty damn well, and I think they're going to continue to do well. But I've had a lot of fun playing the game. Honestly, I just like the act of actually playing the game, especially with friends. I played it with a few people from this community right here in the community Discord. There you go. I plugged the Discord today. I've played it with a little bit of friends. I've even shoved my way.
Like, yeah, if for those of you on YouTube and stuff, like, we have a Discord. And I play with chat all the time. Like, y'all are more than welcome to join me on my games. When I play games like Monster Hunter and Elden Ring and stuff, I like playing with people.
Into some other Discords to find other people to play with as well, because I will not play this game random queue. Oh, God, it is bad.
It's pretty bad. Well, I will say it's hit or miss. It's very hit or miss. You can have a hit team. Like, we had a few of those, actually. We actually got pretty lucky at the few games I've played with randoms. We only got, like, one miss where, like, the 2 guys were just going everywhere. Even then, we did okay. But, like, I don't know what those 2 were doing.
Whew. Save yourself some heartache. I'm going to tell you that right now. But I hope the game does well. I hope it continues to grow.
I hope it does well, too.
Continue to enjoy it. And I hope they end up adding some content to it in the future.
I think they will.
Pretty good with the...
Because, like, y'all got to remember, see me here, out here for the gamers. Gabe's out here for the gamers. There's the rule now. If you have a deluxe DLC with, like, promises of content, you have to deliver on that content, or they get refunds for it. It's not a cash grab, because they have to pay that money back to Gabe. Like, they don't get money from Gabe if they don't.
Patches and stuff for it so far. The patch that they made to the like the jumping mechanic to get up walls. I can't think of the name of it right now. Vaulting. That's what it is. They fixed it almost entirely. It's like perfect now.
It is. It's absolutely, like, I have very little issues with it now. Like, I was having some problems getting up walls before, but now it's like smooth butter.
So they're pretty quick on the draw when it comes to those things. So I'm happy to see that. Outside of that, I'm done. All right. Stay cool. Stay righteous. Stay safe. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Follow me on Twitch. Follow me on YouTube. I said it out of order. Follow me on Twitch. Follow me on YouTube. Subscribe to the video. Share it with your friends. I hope you enjoyed it. Stay cool. Stay righteous. Stay safe. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.
Family. 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 But yeah, that was our wonderful, wonderful legendary drops. Give him a light. Give him a view. What-ta-ta. Smoke bomba. I might try Iron Pineapple later. But anyway, we call the man, the myth, the legend, the Luigi.